Last night I got a chance to check out Dave Patel's Monkey Man. This movie had quite the troubled production. If you heard anything about this movie, you just heard that it was a nightmarish production when it comes to filming it, when it comes to getting someone to produce the film, because this was supposed to be a Netflix film and then they dropped it because of political reasons with India, and then Jordan Peele picked it up because he loved the commentary and Netflix was afraid of the commentary, and so here we are with a theatrical release for Monkey Man. In interviews, it was no secret that this was, a very visceral film and that was held together by a nail in Dave Patel's wrist. And so when you consider all the factors that go into making this movie, it's really an inspiring project when you consider everything. I see a lot of reviews, forgiving a lot of things with this film that I think need to be somewhat addressed because, we can't forgive everything because of a troubled production. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen had a troubled production, but that didn't stop the reviews from being god-awful. I'm not saying that the movie's god-awful, by the way. I'm saying this is still a really good movie, but I don't think it is great. I don't think it's John Wick level. There's some issues here, and mainly to do with the plot and some of the pacing. The pacing overall, the movie goes by pretty quickly, but when it comes to the story, what the message trying to convey, they don't always mix together very well. It's a pretty basic revenge story, and it's infused with a lot of political commentary and some really emotionally engaging scenes. And so I was really invested with the characters' background, but the story itself felt very by the numbers and generic. What is the saving grace from this movie from feeling generic is Dave Patel's commentary with the Indian political system and its corruption. What he was trying to say definitely came through and was very effective, and I respect that. The action is pretty good overall. I mean, I expected a little better because I'll be completely honest, if you saw the trailer, they really did show you the best parts of all the action sequences in the film. So go in with that in mind. It was still awesome to watch with context. Besides that, there is good action throughout. It's not, oh my god level like maybe some people thought going into the film. There's some really well shot sequences. The poster of the film with the red light all around Dave Patel, that's an awesome shot. It's the poster. This movie is littered with really cool shots. They have a really nice use of tilting the camera but not feeling overly done. Like, it doesn't feel like a Michael Bay excessive when it comes to doing some weird stuff with the camera or changing aspect ratios. It feels just stylistically enough to the point where it's not eye-rolling inducing. This movie has a pretty big cast, and that's another issue. It has way too many characters. I think this movie either needed to not have this many characters or be longer. I don't know what would come first. There's quite a few characters, and it doesn't feel like all of them get time to shine. Sometimes it's like characters feel so one-dimensional, but they can be deep, so I'm curious if they cut it back or if it was just that kind of there to be there, particularly with one character that works at the same place that Dave Patel does, this female prostitute. Interesting character, but not nearly dived deep enough. This movie did some really cool stuff when it comes to the trans community in India and built some really strong commentary off that, and all that I really enjoyed. Dave Patel's direction is really, really strong throughout the entire movie. He said at one point that they used iPhone to film some scenes, and you can kind of tell. There's one shot in particular, I think it might be iPhone, but I'm like, is it bad CGI? Is there any CGI? So if anything, there was a few sequences where I can tell it was either phone or bad CGI, but most likely phone, considering I don't think there was much CGI, considering I think most of this was practical. I will say the action is a little bit shakier than I thought. I think the action in the first half isn't 100%, but in the second half, the movie as a whole and the action gets a lot better. When I was watching the first half of this movie, I was like, this is about 3.5 stars, but the second half really pushed it to what I would give it, because the second half really drives home the emotional core. Everything feels a little bit more complete, and it's emotionally charged, and the action gets better. So the second half of this movie really is what makes it for me, because I would say the first half of this movie, I was thinking, dang, am I disappointed with this? Is this underwhelming to me? But the second half really came through, and it was just like, nope, okay, we'll give you the goodies now. But like I said, a lot of those goodies in the second half that I really liked was also in the trailer. So keep your expectations set, because yes, it's an incredibly impressive directorial debut for Dave Patel. The marketing has been pretty good with its action, but it showed a little too much. I think people are trying to get quoted a lot with like amazing directorial debut, which is true. It's an amazing directorial debut, but it sounds better than what it actually means on posters and stuff like that. So I feel like a lot of people are just like trying to get a little hyperbolic about this film just because it's easy to do that, considering that we can give it a lot of softballs with its production, with the fact that it's Dave Patel's directorial debut. Dave Patel's very likable, so it's easy to get a little hyperbolic with this film in particular, it was still, like I said, a really good movie. I really enjoyed it from beginning to end, but I do think there are some issues. We'll overall say, I think if Dev Patel did not have a COVID-infested production and a nightmare post-production with people dropping the film, I think that this movie would have been a whole lot better. So I think if Dev Patel were given a bigger budget and time, because he's proven that he knows what he's doing with this film, I think if he's given more time and a bigger budget and no COVID nightmare, his directing will be so much better and it'll be a really, really good film. And he needs to keep on doing action. I think he really did shine, and I think he proved that he knows what he's doing. I just expect a next film to be much better, and if it's not, I'm not sure about his directing. You know, it's definitely a good pitch. I just need to see where it goes from here. Comment down below what you guys thought of Monkey Man. I really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna give it an 8.1 out of 10. Like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.